Miscellaneous minds, never explaining the minds. Devilish grin for my alias, aliens who respond. Peddling sin, thinking maybe when you get old you realize I'm not gonna fold or demise. I don't smoke crack, motherfucker, I sell it.
What is going on, everybody? This is the Miscellaneous Minds podcast. I'm your co-host, Boom on Gato, the cat that hands your IBF title back. And to my left over here is the main man, Houston Nero, the man that makes the fat stacks. Together we're from the dynamic duo that won't die. Deadly ideas, brother, and spicier content than your girls' only fans. What is going on, everybody? Before we get into tonight's topic, please make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit. And with that, let's get right into it. So, oh man, were we wrong. Not just us, but 83% of the people that voted and tuned into the fight apparently picked Anthony Joshua to beat Daniel Dubois, and man, were we all wrong. Listen, there's a number of things that I saw that happened in that fight, both on Anthony Joshua's side and on Daniel Dubois. Number one, first of all, I think Anthony Joshua got a little bit too trigger happy. Whether he thought maybe he was going to go in there and just obliterate Daniel Dubois, whether it was Daniel Dubois, actually did make him mad, whether he just thought he was going to put on a clinic, whatever it may be, Anthony Joshua made a lot of mistakes. Now, don't get me wrong. One of the things that Daniel Dubois did very well is not only did he lay on the power, which is one of the things that I did talk about in my review of the fight beforehand, but he was landing quite effectively. He was using the jab very effectively, and he was, of course, landing that right hand, man. And listen, the reason I had picked Anthony Joshua is I thought Anthony Joshua had more composure than he showed on that night. In that fight, he didn't show any composure. There was a couple moments where it looked like he was trying to slow things down, but he just couldn't get away from the display, the performance that that Daniel Dubois was bringing to the game. And listen, it's weird when you see someone like Anthony Joshua, because for a long time, and we're going to discuss this in a different topic, Anthony Joshua was one of the big three when it came to boxing, heavyweight boxing. And when you see someone like Anthony Joshua fall to the wayside so decisively, because I'll be honest with you, I don't even think, apart from obviously it being a knockout, it wasn't even close. Daniel Dubois was dominating the entire time. I think Anthony Joshua landed maybe a couple good punches here and there, but that was about it, man. For the most part, it was all Daniel Dubois. So shout out to him. I'm glad he shook up the division even more so than it's already been shaken up. But listen, I definitely did not see this coming. This lines up a couple different things, not just for Daniel Dubois, but for Joshua as well, as far as what's going to happen next. As far as the fight itself, I thought it was a great performance by Daniel Dubois. I'm glad to see someone that just a few years ago everybody was counting out, everybody was calling him a quitter. Everyone's saying, he's reached the peak of what it's going to be his run in heavyweight boxing. And now look, he beat one of the former big three when it came to this heavyweight boxing game. So it's going to be an interesting show to see what happens next. There's a number of different pathways that Daniel Dubois can take. We'll see what Anthony Joshua is going to do. But, man, was it a hell of a performance by Daniel Dubois. Shout out to him. What do you think about that, my man?
It really does go to show to you that, look, even when the cards are down, the game is not over for you until you say it's over. And again, we all saw a couple years ago when he had to unfortunately retire out of the fight against Joe Joyce, and even most notably by Billy Joe Saunders when he had to quit due to a broken orbital bone. And a lot of people, like boxing pundits, and again, even infamously Billy Joe Saunders himself, had to retire because if he kept going in the fight, there was going to be a point where Daniel Dubois might not even reach to the point that we're at right now. If he kept continuing on, he might, boxing would have been out of the question for him at that point. So it was a smart decision at the time, even though it was, heavily criticized at that point. And I think even in his, I remember in his loss against Usyk, I'm pretty sure Usyk actually shared some words with him. He shared with them something to the effect of, just because you lost, it's not over for you. I know you're gonna keep getting better. Even though you lost to me, this game isn't over to you. Remember that gist of the speech that Usyk gave him might have been one of the things that probably fueled him further. I think he realized a loss isn't a loss. A loss isn't concrete. Which it's sad when fighters have to realize that for themselves, and fans are mere oh, this man's absolutely washed. He's going absolutely nowhere. He's blah 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 blah. I will, however, say Anthony Joshua, unfortunately, has a bad habit, and even his coach did in walking into this fight. Um, Anthony Joshua has an unfortunate bad habit of doubting the underdogs a little too often. You look at his fight against Andy Ruiz, underestimated him way too much. Same thing with Alexander Usyk, underestimated him way too much, and now it cost him a third time with Daniel Dubois. And I don't think it's one of those things where Anthony Joshua is washed, but like you said prior to us recording right now, he is definitely waning a bit, and unfortunately, him underestimating his opponents way too much, not respecting him. When you're walking into a boxing fight, respecting your opponent is definitely something you need to do, but you need to have the heavily balanced. Respecting their offense is absolutely good. Respecting them too much that you're too scared to enter the fight yourself, that could be an offset. Underestimating your opponent, however, I understand if you believe that you can get the job done and you can showboat and all that, cool. But at the end of the day, if you're in the ring, your first and foremost priority should be to get the job done. If you think you can do it confidently, cool, props to you. But still, at the end of the day, you need to get the job done first and foremost before you start showboating and gloating, which unfortunately, Anthony Joshua didn't. He seemed like he had this perfectly in the bag, and what happened to him? 3 knockdowns, the third of which he couldn't. Fourth knockdown. Apologies. Fourth knockdown in which he couldn't get back up. By the eighth referee count, he was already still on his knees and tumbling over. And even on the ninth, he tumbled over and fell on his face. So Anthony Joshua unfortunately has a bad habit of underestimating people that he should have no business doing, because at the end of the day, whether you're confident or not, you still have to get the job done at the end of the day. And that's the unfortunate business that Anthony Joshua has to come to deal with.
Yeah, listen, man, I definitely think maybe he was underestimating him. Maybe he bought a little bit too much into his own hype. And fuck, man, maybe we all did. Myself included. I'm definitely not trying to act like I come out of this smelling like roses. It's one of those concepts where, apart from, I think there's a number of things that played into this particular bad performance. I think he did underestimate Daniel Dubois. I think Daniel Dubois came in very confident, very, very, I'm gonna, beat this guy. Not just that, but the crisp performance that Daniel Dubois is putting in, along with a lackluster performance by Joshua. It was just a combination of things all came together that just spelled a bad night for Joshua. And listen, my man here earlier told me that there's not going to be a rematch, I guess. I thought there was a potential for rematch. I thought there was a rematch clause. I guess there might not be, or there isn't. So he's not going to get a chance. Either way, whether he did have a chance at a rematch or not, I'm not lying. After that type of a look, I don't even know if I want to see a second match. And I don't say that very, very, very willingly. I usually see when there's someone that I think can genuinely win most of the time, they lose because they have a bad night or their opponent has a spectacular performance. I'll always say, hey, man, let's have another one. But I'm not lying. This one was really bad. And I just think that, unfortunately, for Anthony Joshua, it was one of those moments where he should have stepped up. He should have shined. And he just didn't, man. It's going to be interesting to see where both of them go. Again, it's not that Anthony Joshua's too old, or it's not that, he doesn't have the skill. But as time has gone on, it seemed more and more like Anthony Joshua mentally has not recovered from his original loss. And don't get me wrong, I'll be one of the first to admit that I thought he actually did recover after he came back and knocked out Ngannou. Then he had another good performance, so on and so forth. But it just does not look like this isn't going to help that mentality is what I'm trying to say. And I feel like as time goes on, it may not necessarily get better. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, I think Daniel Dubois just opened up all his own doors for himself, giving him a lot of leeway on what he's going to do next. And Anthony Joshua, we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you on the next one.